Thank you for introduction, and hello everyone, dzień dobry. And today's theme is about balance designers, their role, their integration in a team, and of course responsibilities. And with small introduction again, I'm Victoria and here's Svetlana. I will talk from the side of game design, and Sveta here will reveal insights of being balance designer. We worked on projects like Evermerge, Grand Hotel Mania, and currently we are creating Everbright with Made on Earth games. So briefly about our company. It was founded in 2022, and we are collecting talents from all over the world to create a cross-platform forex strategy game. And on the next slide, I'll give you a second to appreciate our amazing art. And second was, let's kick it off. For starters, are there any balance designers here present, except for Sveta? Okay, a few. So I think it will be very revealing. And let's start then from why do we need balance designer in the team?
So the short answer is to earn more money. Here is practical examples of two games that are currently on the market. They are the same genre, they have similar art style and launch dates. And the only huge difference between them is the depths in terms of economy and balance. And as you can see on this chart, the difference in revenue between those games is visible. So, does everyone needs to have a balanced game designer in their team? The short answer is no. Because the need of BGD hugely depends on the complexity of the game and number of systems it has and its genre. For example, talking about hyper-casual games, there is no need for a dedicated person to handle balance because it can be easily done with just game designers in the team. But when we're talking about games with more systems, like expedition games or forex strategy games, it will become really tricky to manage the economy system without a dedicated balanced game designer.
So Sveta listed all basics, who is a balance designer, but what about not so obvious responsibilities? And the first step will be about accessibility of mechanics and how balance designer connected with it. And the case that we want to discuss is Super Mario Wonder. Nintendo created level design the way when it's accessible and pleasurable for the broad audience. Players can use different tools to increase or decrease difficulty of the levels. For example, if you feel up to some challenge, you can try and find hidden paths on the level, which often offers you some race, time limited of course, or if you want to just relax, you can cooperate with your friends and have more fun. Or you can use easier characters and also the way to buy boosters in the in-game shop. So while level designers and game designers, of course, are important, they created those levels and mechanics, balance designer is a person who will put all the right numbers in all the right places to make it work for players. Next step is long-term engagement, and the whole theme is pretty huge, but I want to discuss it and on practical example of Everbright. In our game, we have troop upgrading system that consists of 4 mechanics, and each of them is balanced, has balanced settings, so we can easily manipulate with the whole loop And balance designer is a person who will pull all the right strings to provide players with challenge at some point or simple satisfaction, and that's how we keep players engaged.
And now let's talk more about players' engagement. I will present you a couple of cases from Playliner of how to engage players using a reward flow. So the first case is Royal Merge case. There are multiple events in this game running simultaneously, and these events are giving players time-limited rewards. And players, of course, want to utilize them. And by doing that, they progress further in these events, and they receive more time-limited rewards. And this reward flow engage players, and they are more motivated to invest money in the game. And the second case is Monopoly Go case, which is pretty similar. There are also players also receive rewards from various events, and these rewards include dice rolls. And in moments where dice rolls seems to be running out, players receive more from events. And this creates emotional spikes for players and hooks them. So now let's talk a bit about fairness to the players. You may not find connection between fairness and a handover here, but I will explain it to you. So usually when sales happen, you can see a spending spikes. And after that, a handover hits. And the handover might be a huge problem. And one of the good ways to handle it is to launch some live ops that will organically sync out currency. And the job of BGD is also to make sure that by giving rewards in this events, you will not cause another inflation cycle. So that way, players are happy, engaged, and soon be ready to invest more money in your game.
And I want to discuss a bit two more important collaborations of balance designer. First one is with marketing team. While planning some promos for players, there is no better person to check that all decisions align with game economy strategies than balance designer. For example, not to give for free the same stuff that you are trying to sync out. And about data analysis, balance designer teaming up with data analytics is one of the key tools to understand what the game needs, what features are needed, and also this collaboration will help you to prevent, foresee, and secure some weak points in the game.
And of course, there are way more areas of BGD influence in games. For example, meaningful choices. So the game with good balance doesn't have some kind of ultimate choice, but rather a number of equally appealing options to the player. So that will create a strategical depth for the player, while also making the player return to the game after they lose, so they will try another option. And also, let's not forget about one of the key principles of good game design, which is easy to learn, hard to master. And the BGD is the best person to ensure that the game is both beginner-friendly, while also providing enough complexity and depth for more skilled players. So now let's talk about what it's like to have a BGD in your team and how they collaborate and share responsibilities with other game designers. So the first case is, what if there is no balanced game designer? Then you will surely not have problems with balanced game designers, but you will probably have a lot of other problems. So in this case, where there is no BGD in a team, game designers handle balance themselves. And of course, you will save some money by not hiring like extra person to handle balance. And also it's faster because game designers can make balance for their features simultaneously and they know their feature the best. But after some time, various problems might occur, like problems in communication, because there is no one in a team who knows like the economy of the whole game. And also there may be problems with rewards and activity management. For example, one event may like cannibalize activity or spending from another event.
So let's imagine a controversial scenario when you have at least one balance designer in your team. This person is a keeper of knowledge who knows pretty everything, work with all features, connect all systems, create documentation, configuration, and of course there are no miscommunications. Sounds too good to be true, if I'm being honest. And the risks here that I think are pretty important to consider that if the game needs 2, 3, or more features to be developed at the same time, there is a high risk of bottleneck situation, or simply saying work stolen, because there is only one person who is responsible for the whole balance. I don't think it's critical, and in my opinion, it can be handled by the right time management. So this approach works. Next scenario to discuss that I'm calling balanced. That's how things work in Made on Earth. We have one dedicated balance designer who works with the majority of features, create documentation and so on. So all the good stuff from previous case goes there too. But what's the difference? Of course, balance designer works with the support and guidance from feature owners. While feature owner knows their feature, the balance designer has the whole economy strategy in their game. So that's it about balance designer, but what about simple feature owners? The difference with us that feature owners can also participate in balancing and they can work independently. But a key point here is communication and to make so-called share and check with balance designer just to make sure that decisions aligns with the game economy and everything works together. So we discussed who is a balance designer, their responsibility, how to work with them, and the main question that is left, when to call in balance designer. I want to discuss 3 scenarios, and let's start with the first one. In this scenario, balance designer joins the team right after start of the development, and this case works. Balance designers start from the early stage, calculate game economy, help test theories, and all the good stuff. But what about cons? In my opinion, if the game doesn't need perfectly calculated balance on the early stage due to its complexity or genre, by not having balance designer, you just can't save some money. And moving on to the next scenario, it's pretty common and divided into 2 cases. We start with the first one, when balance designer joins the team after soft launch. In this case, everything seems good working because balance designer will tune some existing mechanics, the game already has some basics, and all is needed to expand it more. The second case is more complicated, is when balance designer joins the team after global launch. And I think risks of this case in those that without dedicated person, there are risks that all systems were poorly connected, and at this point it's hard to scale the project. So the game needs some changes, but changes on this stage are expensive. But not to sound so depressed, I will be honest, if the game needs balance designer at this point, it means that it's profitable. So it also works. And let's answer the question how things work in Made on Earth games. We started the development without a dedicated person for balance, and the same game designer who worked on features calculated balance for them, and it helped us to test theories fairly quickly with quick and dirty balance. So we even got perfect win rate of 60s to 40s. And we had at the same point core loop test when we ensured that our mechanics work as we expect them. So after that, we decided to break everything and invite balance designer to document our success. As I said before, now we have balance designer and we are preparing for the soft launch. And if you ask me why I think this approach is good for Everbright, as I said before, it's a forex strategy game, and as you may know, the more access the game has, the more balance designers it needs. So we decided to start with at least one. But if I'm being serious, we believe that complex genre like forex strategy needs a dedicated person for balance, just to, from the early stage, connect all systems right and make it easy to manage. So, to summarize that everything was said and give you a final takeaway, when to invite balance designer in your game. Unfortunately, there is no manual with all the right answers. We discussed a couple of possible scenarios, and you need to consider factors like game genre, its complexity, your budget, and many more. We think that our approach for Everbright works pretty well and will work for other forex strategy games. And thank you for your attention. We were happy to share our experience with you. And now we have some time for Q&A, I think.
Yeah. Do we have questions from the audience? Okay, I'll come into you.
I wanted to ask, like, how you define if your balance work or don't. I know, like, there are some obvious extreme points when, like, all metrics are shit or, like, it like gives you a bunch of money. But how you set that threshold and, like it's good enough?
I'm giving this question to balance designer.
I'm not sure that I get the question. You mean like when you understand that you need to call a balance designer?
Yeah, like you call a balance designer when your balance doesn't work, right? Or kind of? Yeah, so like how do you know that your balance doesn't work or does work? Like how you set this criteria? Like what's your approach? Or, yeah, I want.
Yeah, I think that it's usually depends on the genre because like if you are working on a strategy, like you just know that at some point you will need a balance designer because there are just too many systems. Like you understand that like you at some point you understand that it's just too complex and like you need a person that will like handle all that like and it will be like their job because like for example feature owners are not they don't have resources like to handle like the whole economy of the game at some point. like it may be not like that at first, like when you prototype your game, because it's simple enough at that point. But like when the game grows, like you feel that you just need to have a like dedicated person for that.
Okay, so maybe something like it gets too complex, and then it's not your problem. It's for balance designer and producer to decide if balance works or not from certain point, right?
Yeah. Like balance designer also may decide whether like a balance work or not. It's usually like the work of balance designers, analytics, and like producers. So they just like they communicate and understand what's going on with balance. Should they like rebalance something or not? Because you can see on like while doing analytics after the player played your game, you see charts and you just understand that maybe you are giving too much rewards of this type, or maybe like one event is cannibalizing another, and you see that like spending in this event are going down, and you just suppose that it may be because of something is wrong with your balance.
So the simple answer is data.
Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But there's always a window for improvement. But like in general, yeah, I like the questions. Like it's not really game designers' responsibility. Like only partially, right? And okay, you leave it for balance designers. I like this answer.
Thank you.
Thank you. I guess we have time for more questions. Do we have them? Okay, so I will use the opportunity to ask you a question about designing a balance, and because to me it's always interesting how many people are actually masochists to enjoy the challenge, and to how do you account for this type of people, and do you account for them at all?
I'm not one of them. I don't calculate balance. So again, Sveta will answer.
I'm sorry, I didn't get the question.
I mean,
like, do you comfort them, or like?
the question is that how do you account for people who like the challenge, and as opposed to people who actually want to relax, right?
Yeah, actually, in our game, we are trying to to handle balance also in the way that both players that want to play in a more relaxed way and players that want some challenge, they may find like something for themselves in the game. And yeah, we are taking in account like more like hardcore players in the game. Yeah.
Maybe I add some. We include in the cycle of some mechanic, couple of mechanics that we want are casual players friendly and others that are hardcore players friendly. And also we have hope for clan system, for example, where these players can communicate and help each other. So the basic answer is that we create systems friendly for both types of players and want them to be united at some point in other mechanics.
Thank you.
Thank you.
So thank you for the presentation. Do we have additional questions? Okay, perfect. Then thank you. I guess speakers will be available in a hall in case somebody will come up with a question later. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.